Hey guys, welcome in. Hope you're having a great Friday. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks so much for joining us. Man, we have so much to get to today. A lot of times in our business, you're like, it's Friday. And the news industry kind of throws away Friday. Oh, no. No, not us. Not today. There's a ton of things to get to today, and we'll tell you all about them here in just a moment. Before we do, though, reminder, if you haven't yet, check out the website. RobKendallShow.com. RobKendallShow.com. We've got the live link up there to the YouTube feed. We've got all the on-demand platforms. A lot of people, this was crazy to me when I first got into this. A lot of people are like, I don't do YouTube. Really? No, I do Apple. I do Spotify. I don't do YouTube. So we've got all the platforms where you can find the show. Of course, we're live each day, 10 to noon on YouTube, and then on demand on the Apple, the Spotify, all the places. You can find them at robkendallshow.com. We've got articles there from our favorite segments each day. 100 of those now available. Jason did the count yesterday. 100 articles up there at robkendallshow.com, our favorite segments each day. And most importantly, support button. Support button. If you like what we do, if you're like, hey, I want to keep you guys afloat, support button, robkendallshow.com. Got a list of people I got to get to coming up here on Monday. Add your name to that list over the weekend. robkendallshow.com. Hit the support button. $1, $10, whatever it is. Help keep the Rob Kendall Show rolling. And, of course, the other big thing, we do these housekeeping items, but they're very important. Thumbs up button right there in the YouTube feed. Hit that thumbs up button. Let us know you like today's program. That's very important to helping us grow. Subscribe to the channel. 2,450 plus subscribers now. You guys are awesome. We love seeing that number tick up each day. And share the feed. Let people know that there is a program every day doing 2 hours of Indiana news and politics and government right here. But we need you to help us do that. Rob Kendall Show on YouTube. Just put in your search bar, and Facebook, Twitter, wherever you got social media. Let people know about us. Okay, let's get to the program. What are we doing today? Well, Alexandra Wilson is going to join us. She is that Senate candidate out in the western part of the state, Vigo County, Sullivan County, Clay County, who has had her life turned upside down, falsely accused of being convicted of a felony, pleading guilty to a felony. It appears she was bribed by the White House and by the governor's office to try to get out of the race. She refused. Then they got nasty with her, said, we're going to expose this, expose that. She still didn't budge. By the way, this woman is 8 months pregnant. All this happening while she's pregnant with her baby. Said, hey, look, I just want to run for Senate. I'm not getting out of this race. And so then they have spent the past, and look, when I say they, it's the White House, it's the Trump, it's the Trump people, it's the Braun people, it's Turning Point USA. They've spent the past 3 months in all this legal mumbo jumbo, just ridiculousness. They've drug her to the ringer, the election board, the courts. She's won at every turn. She's going to be with us to talk about how her life has been turned upside down. Also with us today, Nathan Gotsch from the Ballard campaign. They released fundraising numbers yesterday. They were huge. Greg Ballard pulled in a bunch of money. He blew past Diego Morales. And we're going to talk about the hurdle. So the Ballard campaign did not have to release their fundraising numbers yesterday. They said, we want to be super transparent about doing that. The Secretary of State's office made that very hard for them to do. Think about that. Like a campaign being like, we want to be overly transparent about our numbers. We want everybody to know who's giving us money. We want you to know. And the Secretary of State's office made that very difficult because everything with Diego Morales is difficult and incompetent. And so we'll have Nathan Gotsch with us later to talk about that, about how much Ballard raised. Where's the money coming from? How are they doing on the signatures? That's all coming up today on the program. But we start with, speaking of Alexandra Wilson, we finally got a definitive ruling yesterday. A judge in Clay County said without debate or without discussion, Alexandra Wilson did not plead guilty to a felony. She pled guilty to a misdemeanor, and she can stay on the ballot, which is what we've been telling you for the past several months on this show and even before that. This waste of legal resources by lawyer Jim Bopp, or as we call him here, Mbop, has been a disgrace. It's been a disgrace. It's been a disgrace of the legal profession. It's been a total waste of time, taxpayer resources. And this is being done because Trump and Turning Point and the governor's office recruited a crap candidate in Brenda Wilson. If they had a great ironclad candidate to take down Greg Good, they wouldn't be doing this. But because they know how poor the candidate was that they recruited, they had to go through all of this to try to get Alexandra Wilson out of the race. And Alexandra Wilson's going to lay this out for us, what she's had to endure coming up here in just a little bit. Like, think about this. If you're proud of your candidate, what does it matter if someone else is running? If you got a really good person who you know really resonates with people, you're not worried about who else is running. But from the beginning, and we've laid out how hard it was for Trump and Braun and the Turning Point people to find a candidate because they're mad at Greg Good about redistricting, how hard it was for them to find a candidate. They were desperate for a candidate. They were rejected by a whole bunch of people. I know. I talked to one of the people who rejected them. Their vetting process was non-existent. The one person I talked to would have gotten thrown off the ballot because they hadn't voted, not only not in enough Republican primaries, but they don't even vote. Think about that. They don't even vote. And the Trump and Turning Point people were like, please run for office. And so Brenda Wilson is a horrible candidate. She's so bad, her own family, the family of her late husband, Fred Wilson, endorsed Greg Good. She's awful. And so the Trump people, in an act of desperation, got this woman to run. They knew what she was, probably to some extent. And they knew if anybody else is in the race, there's no way this woman is going to be able to have a chance of winning. So we'll try to destroy Alexandra Wilson, pregnant woman. We'll try to destroy her life, and we'll make up a story. We'll have this Jim Bop guy from Mbop file all these legal complaints. And yesterday, of course, the judge in Clay County saying definitively misdemeanor. And by the way, Alexandra Wilson will tell us the full story later today. You want to know why could there possibly have been any confusion, what she actually did, what she pled guilty to? She's going to tell us all coming up here in just a little bit. And it's pretty obvious, and I'm not a lawyer, it seemed very petty by Jim Bob. It seemed very mean-spirited. It seemed very anti what our country should be about, which is encouraging people to be involved in the political process. And it was done because their candidate's awful. But yesterday, a judge in Clay County said what we have been saying. It was a Putnam County special judge, but through the Clay County court system, said what we've been saying. She pled guilty to misdemeanor. She can run for public office. Hey, selling your home is a massive transition, and it can feel overwhelming. Lauren Wilson believes that you deserve a real estate experience that's as personal as the home you're selling. When you work with Lauren Wilson, you aren't being handed off to a different assistant every week. Lauren is your primary partner from the day you list to the day you close. Trust your home with someone local. Lauren Wilson is a Hoosier lifer, lifelong resident of Central Indiana, and a member of the military, former member of the military. You get Lauren Wilson's direct attention backed by a professional support team that handles the paperwork so she can focus on you. Looking for a higher level of service? Call Lauren Wilson with At Properties. 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. All right, we got a lot to get to today. Let's talk about the other big news that came down. And that is, well, look, it's not news. Those of us who've been paying attention for a while have known about this for a while, like years. But the Diego Morales people have put out that David Shelton, now David Shelton is his Republican opponent at the state convention in June, Knox County clerk. We had him on the show. What was this? All these days run together. I think this was Monday he was on the show. That David Shelton's wife owns a law-abiding business in which she sells sex toys. That's their big gotcha moment with David Shelton. That his wife for years, a decade and a half now, has owned a law-abiding business in which she sells sex toys. Now, if you have young kids, I'm going to try to not say anything I couldn't say on terrestrial radio. If you got young kids, I'll try to keep it as clean as I possibly can. So David Shelton's wife, since December of 2013, has owned a business that is the equivalent of, it's like a mobile sex toy unit. Unit might have not been the right word, but whatever. So she owns this truck or whatever you want to call it, and she hosts the equivalent of the Tupperware parties. You guys, if you women, maybe you've been to these, you go and they encourage to buy Tupperware or the Mary Kay stuff. She does that, but it's with sex toys. It's a law-abiding business. It's registered. They pay all their applicable taxes. She's not breaking any laws. She's not breaking any state laws, any federal laws. She just owns a business where she sells sex toys. And it's not like it's been hidden. They file all the paperwork. They've never denied it exists. I've known about it for years. But yesterday, for some reason, the Diego Morales people chose to start putting this story out, promoting this story, and acting as though this woman had robbed a bank because she makes a living or part of their living selling sex toys. Now, my question to you guys, and we're going to go into this a little bit, is twofold in the YouTube chat. By the way, the YouTube chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. End of the show each day, producer Jason picks the best YouTube comments, reads them back, and you do have to be a subscriber in order to participate in our YouTube chat. So a reason, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. So my question to you guys is twofold as we work through this. One, should a candidate be held accountable for whatever their spouse does if it's not illegal behavior? If they know about it and it's not illegal behavior, or for any reason, should a candidate be held accountable for what their spouse does? For any reason, whatever you want to comment on, any reason, should they be held accountable for their wife? And if someone owns a business in an industry that it's all above board in terms of they file their paperwork, they pay their taxes, and our state has said that's a legal business, you can have it, is that a big deal? Should that disqualify someone for running for public office? And if owning that business would disqualify them, isn't that an indictment of our state for allowing it? Like if let's say it was toenail clippers. I'll just pick a random industry. I don't know why I picked that. Toenail clippers are illegal in Indiana. People use them. The state has said you can own a toenail clipper business. Would there be any outrage? Would there be any gotcha type of thing about that? David Shelton's wife owns a toenail clipper business. Of course not. And so my question to you guys is, well, what's the difference here? Look, I'm sorry, it's 2026. People use sex toys. It's a very common product. It's used by people all across Indiana. Law-abiding, decent people. It's used by people all across our country. Law-abiding, decent people. By all accounts, David Shelton's wife is not marketing this to underage people. It's all to consenting adults. This, to me, look, if she were doing something nefarious, like let's say David Shelton's wife had a weed growing business. Well, look, I think marijuana should be legal. Certainly for medical purpose. However, in the state of Indiana, it's not. So if David Shelton's wife had a weed growing business, I would say, okay, now we got a story here. You have a candidate for public office and his wife is engaged in a non-legal industry in Indiana. Now we got a story. But she's not. She's engaged in an industry where she goes on request to people's homes or people's events or whatever and sells a legal product. That, newsflash, of the 7 million people in the state of Indiana, probably 4 million of them are adults? I would almost guarantee you, at some point, of the 4 million people in the state of Indiana, probably a quarter of them have used a sex toy at some point. We're all adults here. So should David Shelton, should candidates be held accountable for their spouse? If so, to what extent? And two, if a business is legal, are we going to punish some guy because his wife owns a legal law-abiding business? I find it fascinating that, look, Diego Morales is a complete, incompetent, corrupt piece of trash. In the office, in the actual office itself. We all know this. And what the Morales people, the people who are riding either they're riding the Morales gravy train, or they're lined up with candidates, with office holders who are in bed with Morales, endorsing Morales, supporting Morales. That's who the majority of this sharing of this story was coming from. They know there's no defense of Diego. None. His behavior in the office is indefensible. The 10-day trip to India. By the way, did you guys notice I've got my Diego Morales, Dirty Diego, Who Paid for India button on today? And by the way, guys, full disclosure, I'm not telling you this stuff because I love David Shelton or am committed to voting for David Shelton. I'm not. I'm not a delegate, and there's a good chance I wouldn't vote for David Shelton in the general election. I would give David Shelton every opportunity to earn my vote. It will depend on who the other candidates are. I'm not telling you any of this because I love David Shelton or have an affinity for David Shelton or would definitively vote for David Shelton. I think in terms of the guy, of the people running, David Shelton is infinitely qualified for the office. I think he's done a fine job as the Knox County clerk, but he doesn't have my vote. Now, any person who desires to live in a decent society should want to get rid of Diego Morales because he's a corrupt, unethical piece of trash who has used his office as a 24/7 campaign machine. He has used our money for the past 3.5 years as a 24/7 campaign machine. And I think most of you know we've only scratched the surface on what Diego Morales has done and been into. The Morales people, though, have no defense for Diego. There is no defense for the guy blowing off his budget hearing, going to a foreign country for 10 days, and then refusing to tell you who paid for the trip. And then, bizarrely, months later, starting to shout, I paid for the trip. I pay. Oh, can you show us proof? No, but I pay. I pay for the trip. Can you show us who you paid back for the trip? No, I pay. Why would you doubt me? I have such a track record of honesty and acting in an above board righteous manner. They know there's no defense for that. They know the budget hearing where he's getting grilled by the lawmakers where he just melts down. There's no defense for that. They know there's no defense for him bizarrely shouting about the fake WIBC and the fake Indy Star at a motor vehicle advisory board meeting where people are trying to just enjoy their chicken. They know there's no defense for the $90,000 car. There's no defense for the hiring of the brother-in-law, the raises, the spot bonuses, the no-bid contracts where people give huge dollars to his campaign. There's no explanation for giving a state contract to his buddy Raju, and then he won't tell you what Raju does other than he checks on the businesses. Really? Oh, and by the way, Raju went on the trip to India with Diego and was bragging about selling visa access while on the trip with Diego on Facebook. There's no defense for any of that. They know there's no defense for Diego using state resources to film a campaign video, then repeatedly ignoring requests by the agency where that was filmed to take it down, which has now resulted in a request to the Inspector General to investigate because that agency just had enough with their workers being used in a campaign video. Look, we could talk for the whole show about how there's no defense for Diego Morales. And his supporters know that. They know that. He's rotten to his core. And so what they've done is, because Shelton's done a pretty good job as a Knox County clerk, we're going to find out what his wife does. Oh, she sells sex toys. Yeah, most of us have known about that for years. Are sex toys illegal in Indiana? Well, no. Can anybody sell sex toys if they start a business? Well, yeah. But she sells sex toys. But what about all the crap your guys pulled as the office holder? Well, my button here is coming undone. It's poking me. By the way, we're going to do something with these buttons. I get in trouble for that. We're going to do something with these buttons in some way to thank people who support our show. I haven't decided exactly what we're going to do yet. But there is no defense for Diego. So his people now have turned to, and really there's not much on Shelton either. So now we're going to attack the guy's wife for owning a law-abiding business. The race for Secretary of State is already in the gutter, and we're 2 months away. This is your Indiana Republican Party. This is who they are. Don't look at what they say, look at what they do. Hey, planning a trip can be overwhelming. You know where you want to go, but how do you make it happen? That's where Baltus Travel Service comes in. Adam Baltus takes the worry out of travel and is with you every step of the way. If you've been thinking about going anywhere in the world, take the worry out of travel with Baltus Travel Service. It's vacation season, summer break, kids are going to be out of school. You're going to go somewhere. Make sure you have a pro on your side. Adam handles it all. Hotels, car rentals, flights, you name it. And in many cases, using Baltus Travel Service won't make your trip cost one extra dime to you. Get all the information by visiting baltustravel.com, BALTUS travel.com, or call 812-593-7561. Okay, coming up here in just a little bit, I went to a government meeting last night, and it was the most ridiculous, embarrassing thing I've ever seen. It was a reminder to me of why our communities are doomed. We'll talk about that later. But when we come back, Alexandra Wilson is going to join us. She's going to tell us all the stuff. What did she actually do to plead guilty? What did she plead guilty to? Did she plead guilty to a felony? What did the Trump administration and the governor's office offer her? How did they try to offer it to her to get out of the race? We'll answer all the questions when we come back about that wild Senate District 38 primary. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget the website, robkendallshow.com. Also available on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall. Joined now by a woman who, my goodness, I have never seen this much controversy involving a state Senate candidate. Alexandra Wilson joins us now. She's Senate candidate out in Senate District 38. That's Sullivan, that's Clay, that's Vigo counties. Alexandra, hello.
Hello.
So, can you answer for everyone? Because look, I just can't fathom how this got this crazy. Can you just put it to bed for everybody? Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No, I have not. Never.
Tell us, what happened? What actually happened? What did you plead? What did you plead guilty to? Just tell us all of the background and what exactly happened.
So, I was a child, first of all. 19 years old is still a child to me. It was a bad choice. It was a bad decision. I admit that. I take accountability for that. But, that what it's been turned into has been absolutely astronomical and ridiculous. When I was younger, I was up in Vermilion County, which is north of Vigo County, and I was at a friend's house. I had left, and it was early in the morning, and I had a car behind me going through town, and it was a Ford Focus hatchback car, unmarked, no visible lights, no anything. And it took until I was close to the outskirts of town for them to flip their lights on. And I panicked. I don't know what else to say. I freaked out. I panicked. I did the opposite of what I should have done. I did not pull over immediately. And, I got breathalyzed. I hadn't been drinking. There was no nonsense like that. I just made a very poor choice. It was a spur of the moment decision that I regret, and I should have handled differently.
That's it?
Yeah.
All of this is about that?
Yes, I got a resisting law enforcement charge because I didn't pull over. I will be honest, I wrecked my car.
Okay. But that's it. Like, you didn't rob a bank. You didn't
No.
you're not on the run from the law. Like, you're not, none of that.
No. And I had, I remember I went to jail that evening, obviously. Called, my dad was a truck driver. He was on the road. He wasn't in town. I had lost my mother about a year and a half prior to this and didn't really have any support in town at the time. And I called my grandpa. It's like 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, hey, can you come get me? I'm in jail. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm like, please come get me. He said, I'll think about it. Click. He left me in there all night on purpose. But I had the sweetest older gentleman that was a guard that he kept bringing me pictures of fresh water because, I didn't belong in there. I didn't want to be in there. I made a very stupid mistake, and he was very, very kind, and I will never forget him.
So what did you plead guilty to exactly, and how has Jim Bopp morphed this into you pled guilty to a felony?
I pled guilty to a misdemeanor. I'd never been in trouble before. Haven't been in trouble in that way since. I've had speeding tickets, but it was the prosecutor realized, and my dad had hired me an attorney. We went to court. She's never been in trouble before. We don't want to put her under this felony category that could potentially ruin her life and her, ability to get jobs in the future. And I was 19, and they pled it down immediately before I made any agreement to a plea agreement. There was no, this is a felony charge. Can we plea it down? They offered it right out the gate.
Where has Bopp come up with you pled guilty to a felony? Has this been explained to you? This is what I can't understand.
So he's going off of one specific court document. That's the plea agreement. So my initial charge would have been a felony charge, resisting law enforcement. That's immediately what it is. So when I'm going to court and I'm on the docket, they're checking boxes. This is the charge and here's the felony. But next to that box where they checked felony, they checked misdemeanor as well. And anyone, as my attorney Samantha says as well, that knows criminal law knows that underneath one charge, you cannot have a felony and have a misdemeanor underneath the same charge. So it was just the court doing their due diligence on checking their files and their boxes, which was back in 2010. And they didn't even have, Odyssey. They didn't have my case. They didn't have any of that stuff for it to be filed properly. And it was just, it's a matter over this box was checked, so she's a convicted felon.
It seems very petty. Have you guys tried to explain this to him? I assume you have.
Yes, repeatedly at this point. Repeatedly.
Alexandra Wilson is our guest. Okay, next question. Are you a plant put in by Greg Good to disrupt Brenda Wilson's campaign?
Absolutely not. I didn't even know who Greg Good was until I went to my very first GOP breakfast. I believe it was the beginning of February. He happened to be there and I met him. And I will say he's been very nice to me throughout all of this, but I didn't even know who he was. No one affiliated with him reached out to me. That's completely false. And it's like you're just grasping at whatever you can come up with to, make this narrative and story. It's just all lies. I don't have anything else to say about it other than they're lying.
So you didn't even really know Greg Good before you started running?
No, I did not.
Why are you running? What motivated you? I mean, this would be a question I try to ask anybody who's running for any public office. Why are you running?
I'm running because of the local issues here, specifically in Vigo County. Unfortunately, because of all of this, I haven't had much of a chance to go to Sullivan. The only events I've been at in Clay County have been my hearings. I've missed out on some invites. I've been told that I was invited to some stuff and they announced that I didn't respond. I never got an invite. But specifically in Vigo County, I'm very concerned for the taxpayers and any plans that are going to come out that raise taxes. We have a school plan initiative going on here where they're trying to spend an astronomical amount of money into a massive high school. That's going to affect everyone. That was one of my main, I want to get involved. And then the more that I actually got to go to some events here locally, I've heard from folks within the district that really just don't feel like their concerns are being heard. And I don't like that. I feel like I'm an underdog in this situation, and it's the elected officials' jobs to listen to the people in this district, and they're just not being listened to.
Well, and this is what I feel bad about. It's like, look, first of all, and congratulations, it's my understanding you're 8 months pregnant. Is that correct?
8.5 months.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like,
yeah.
she thinks about coming soon.
I was hoping we made it through the interview, so just give it another 10 minutes and we'll be good. But as somebody who has recently, my child's 2.5 now, but had a wife give birth, that's a hard thing to endure. And it's like at 5 months or 6 months or whatever it was pregnant, the fact that Bop was being this petty towards you, and then all the things that they start throwing at you for having the audacity to run for public office. It doesn't even matter if you're a plant. You're legally allowed to run. You can run. Like, how has this changed sort of your view of politics, of our system that we have? What impact has this had on you?
I mean, I'll be honest. I knew politics they're gross. They get dirty. People get dirty and within politics. Naive of me, I thought, who goes after a pregnant lady and adds additional stress during the most stressful and vital time of her growing a human, And I was very wrong. My husband's like,
oh yeah,
I told you so.
Yeah.
I think it speaks more to their character than mine when it comes to that kind of thing. It's just decency, human decency. If I was a convicted felon, I would understand. I've never been, and this has been a false agenda the entire time. I don't have any respect for what they've put me through.
Well, and I've said this. Look, I don't live over there. My family's from Terre Haute, but I said my wife and I were talking about this yesterday. I said if I lived over there, I'd probably vote for you just out of spite and out of what you've had to go through. Are you hearing that from people that it's like you got a ton of free publicity out of this you wouldn't have gotten?
I did get a ton of free publicity, and I don't know if they really thought that through. That let alone the added to it, the voters are too stupid to tell the difference between Brenda Wilson and Alexandra Wilson. And it right out the gate, that's stupidity to me in itself, because that is the whole point of campaigning, is to get to know the candidates. You should know by the end of this, come May 5th, the difference between Brenda Wilson and myself. Now, they've given me all of that, publicity and I've been out there and I haven't had to pay a dime for it, other than it's been extremely stressful.
Oh,
My
totally.
family's not been happy about it, them calling me a felon. It's been a whole thing. And then, you go to these events with the air of being a convicted felon. I will admit, it takes a lot to show face in these situations, but it's about the fact that what they've done is wrong, and I'm not going to allow them to continue to put me down.
A couple minutes we have left here with you. It certainly appears, based on the audio and text you released, that the White House and the governor's office tried to bribe you out of getting out of this race. Is that a fair assessment? Is that what you feel happened?
That was my take on the situation, 100%. I didn't hear from them again after the 13th. It explains itself.
Okay, so that's important because the 13th is the last day for you to remove yourself from the ballot.
That's correct. I heard from nobody until this challenge came up the following week.
The governor's office tried to pass off Josh Kelly, Ron's chief of staff, his involvement in this, basically saying, well, we get referred people all the time. Did you ever want a government position? Did you ever try to get a government position? Were you ever telling anyone, hey, I'd love to be on this board or commission?
No, it was provided to me. And first of all, how many referrals do you get from the White House all the time? That's not an all the time thing.
Right.
There's no way. They
Right.
have bigger fish to fry. So
walk us through and by the way, kudos to you for recording all that and releasing that. That was very smart. But walk us through what your sort of reaction was when you're hearing from multiple people in the White House who are trying to pressure you out, and then the governor's chief of staff.
I will say I was shocked. I never thought in a million years I would get those type of phone calls or text messages from the people of that caliber. I knew what they were trying to do, and I had no interest. You entertain, you want to hear what they have to say. That I found interesting in itself, but there was nothing that they could have offered me or provided to me that would have had me drop out.
Was there any clarity on what you think they were going to give you? Because these are really dishonest people. Once you're off the ballot, they may just be like, oops, didn't happen.
And that's the thing. It was insulting in itself, the bribery and the whole situation, but also the fact that, do you think I'm stupid enough to accept an offer from you and you can say, hey, a week later, this isn't working out for us, we're going to let you go? Absolutely not. There was no security in what they were offering. It wasn't going to happen. I wasn't as dumb as what they thought I was.
Well, they've really shown who they are. Not that they don't do that a lot, but tell us what your campaign, this is the most important thing. I feel like you've missed an opportunity to talk about what your campaign is about. It's been clear to me you haven't been convicted of a felony. This whole thing seems ridiculous and petty. And you've missed an opportunity to be able to talk to people with having a right to run what your campaign is actually about. Tell the people what you're actually running on and what you're running for.
I am running for making sure that the cost of living stays as low as possible for people when it's a struggle as is. I have a family, my husband and I work. The cost of living is astronomical. Buying dinner is crazy. So I'm here to defend and make sure that when there are decisions to be made, that it has the least amount of impact on taxpayers and how it affects their lives. I've heard of older folks, the property assessment within our area has gone up, and there's some older folks that they can't afford to stay in their homes that they've lived in for years because their assessment went up and their property taxes went up, and there's no more room within their budget to make it livable, make it feasible for them. I'm here to defend the people in that way.
Well, thanks for staying in. Thanks for standing up. A lot of people would have given in, especially being pregnant. That's just it's a hard thing to go through anyway. And I just want to let you know from my perspective, like, God bless you, because I have seen how nasty these people are, and you really deserve a gold star for staying in this, for putting that out, for giving that information. These people tried to bribe you out of the race. If people want to learn more about you, how can they do that?
I have a Facebook page. I have an election phone number. I have a campaigning email. If you need to reach out to me, please feel free to. I'm available to talk. I would love to hear from people. I would love to be able to get my views out there and completely open. Please, please, please reach out.
Yes, you are. Alexandra Wilson, Senate District 38 candidate. Congratulations. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
standing up to these people, and best of luck in the election.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're watching The Rob Kendall Show.
Planning a trip can be overwhelming. You know where you want to go, but how do you make it happen? That's where Baltus Travel Service comes in. Adam Baltus takes the worry out of travel and is with you every step of the way. The great thing about using Baltus Travel Service is in most cases, it won't make your trip cost an extra dime. Adam is certified through most major cruise lines as well as Disney and Universal theme parks. If you've been thinking about going anywhere in the world, take the worry out with Baltus Travel Service. There's no charge for a consultation to find out in advance what your trip will cost. Get started today by visiting baltustravel.com or call 812-593-7561. 812-593-7561.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheeson.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget, there's a couple ways you can help us out if you haven't done so yet. We ask you for a reason. It really does help. Hit the little thumbs up button, like the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and most importantly of all, perhaps, share the feed. You got a Facebook page, you got a Twitter account. Let people know we're here. And by the way, if you're feeling super generous, we got a support button up at robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. Hey, let me tell you about our guys over at Bramwell Mackay. Leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. Okay, a couple of points. Some of you guys had been asking, what are we doing with the live show? It is coming. We have a date. We are hopeful early next week we will be able to announce that to you, what we are doing. I know yesterday in the YouTube chat there was, when are you guys doing this with it? Yes, we got with our guys, and they are ready for the one up here. We're going to do two of them. We're going to do one special for Southwest Indiana by their request. Somebody else is handling that. But the one we're going to do up here in Central Indiana, we have a date. We are hopeful maybe Monday or Tuesday we'll be able to announce everything for you about an upcoming live show dedicated to you, our very loyal, very, very loyal fans of the Rob Kendall Show, this great, incredible environment you've created here together over the last 7 weeks. And we're doing this because you guys said you wanted it, so we're going to need you to follow through. But our goal, two goals with this one. One, make it a celebration of how this show has grown and a thank you to you guys. I know many of you become friends in our YouTube chat, and so we wanted to do that. That's the goal of the first goal of the program. The second one is make it affordable. We wanted to make it something that everybody could come do, be a part of, and have a great experience with. So we think we've accomplished both of those things. Hopefully we'll be able to announce that on Monday. Okay, so I got to talk about this meeting I went to last night, and I'm not condemning any individuals. I'm condemning the entire process. And you guys know, and I've done this for years, I talk about things that I go to, things where I live, because there's a very good chance something similar is happening to where you live. Like, I use my own experiences to try to alert you to what's going on in your own communities. And one of the things I have said for a very long time, and I don't think there's any malicious intent in this. I think it's naivety, and it comes out of a desire for people to do good, to help their community. But there is no vision and no leadership in many of these towns, and quite frankly, in a lot of the cities. You see it more so in towns than cities. For those of you who aren't familiar, there are differences in Indiana between towns and cities. The primary difference is a lack of a mayor and a lack of an elected chief executive. And I have been an advocate of cities for a long time, that towns move towards cities, especially growing towns, because there has to be someone at the top who's accountable to the voters. And one of the things we try to do on this program, if you're new, by the way, welcome. We do 2 hours of Indiana news, politics, and government every day. There's nobody else out there doing what we do. And one of the great things is I can spend time trying to educate you guys on things that are going on and explain how governments work. Because one of the major reasons governments are so bad, people don't really understand how they work, especially at a local level. And so I'm going to just bear with me here for a few minutes. I'm going to take a few moments to do this because you need to be educated on how things work. One of the biggest problems is people don't have the knowledge necessary to understand the system, to understand how the system works, to understand how the system is screwing you over. And so in towns, there's what's called a town manager. That's not an elected position. It's a hired position. That person is accountable to the town board, the town council, generally a 5-person board. And what you have in unelected town managers is they act as a de facto mayor, but without any accountability to the voters. They do kind of what they want to do. Oftentimes they sort of steamroll their council because the council doesn't really know what's going on either. And so you don't get people that are accountable to voters. You get people that are accountable sort of in name only to the council, but as long as they don't do something really egregious, the councils just walk around with blinders on and you don't get any real leadership. And so in our cities and our towns across central Indiana, we have a real crisis of leadership and we have a real crisis of creativity. And when you have those things, you get status quo, path of least resistance, do the bare minimum, and I just want to keep my job. That is not going to cut it in a growing society. It's just not. And so I went to this meeting last night, and all of that was on full display. So let me explain to you, let me sort of educate you about redevelopment commissions, okay? In your town or your city, you have a redevelopment commission. And the redevelopment commission, well, there's a good chance you have a redevelopment commission. Some small cities or towns may not have them, but for the most part, most cities or towns of any size have what's called a redevelopment commission. And the redevelopment commission oversees what is called tax increment finance money. And tax increment finance is, and redevelopment commissions that oversee them. By the way, redevelopment commissions are appointed by the governing body. So in a city, it's a mixture of a city and a mayor. In a town, it's appointed by the town council. It's a 5-member board. And redevelopment commissions oversee what is called tax increment finance, or TIF. And TIF was invented by the Indiana General Assembly, I would guess it was 30, 35 years ago now. And the cause was worthwhile. It was to responsibly grow communities and repair and create infrastructure in underserved areas. So basically what they were saying is, the General Assembly was saying 30, 35 years ago, is we don't want communities coming to us every time they have an infrastructure project. We want them to be able to control their own destiny, to be able to do things on their own in an expedited manner, at least as it would in comparison to coming to the state. And so we're going to create these redevelopment commissions by statute and these tax increment finance districts they oversee, in which all of the tax revenue that is collected in an area will stay in that area. So right now, when you pay property tax on your home, that goes to a variety of entities: the town or city, the school district, the fire territory if you have one, the library, the county, the township. All of those entities get a portion of your property tax bill. In a tax increment finance district, all of the taxes stay in that area. And the premise is that way a city or town can build a road. They can build bridges. They can, to some extent, the counties oversee bridges, but bear with me. Sidewalks, all of these things, water lines, sewer lines, they can facilitate infrastructure which will spur economic development. And in a tax cap society in which we live, commercial economic development is the goal, the 3%, because the business taxes are capped at 3 compared to homes are 1. That is the job of the redevelopment commission. Build stuff, infrastructure, repair stuff, infrastructure, upgrade stuff, infrastructure that will create commercial development that will hopefully create a lasting, sustainable tax base for communities. Now, the catch in all of this is that the TIF district that the Redevelopment Commission oversees collects all the revenue initially. All of the revenue, if a business, let's say a warehouse, because we're really damn good at warehouses in Brownsburg. Heaven forbid we have an upscale restaurant. Warehouse, though, we're your place. This warehouse, let's just say the warehouse pays, after their abatement, $3 million a year in taxes. I'm just making up a number. That $3 million, which would normally go to the schools, to the library, to the town, to the county, it just stays in this area. And that money is used to pay off the bonds or the cost of the road, the bridge, the sidewalk, the water, the sewer, stoplights, all of these things. So the premise of all this, if you're staying with me, is TIF area takes a bond, builds a road, warehouse comes because the road's built, warehouse pays taxes, which go to build the pay off the bond for the road, and then once the bonds are paid off, then all that money gets dispersed to the entities. It's supposed to be able to create a stable tax base. So I go to a meeting last night for the Redevelopment Commission in Brownsburg. And when I was an elected official, I served 4 years on the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission and TIF dollars were a major way in which I did property tax reform for our community all 4 years. Every year we lowered our property tax rate 18.5% over 4 years. Because if you use tax increment finance dollars effectively, you can make taxpayers not have to pay for stuff that's needed in the community. But the key is you got to be invested. You got to read. You got to have vision. You got to have creativity. You got to have desire. And this is the problem with government across the board. The cities, the towns, the state, the people don't read. They don't have creativity. And I think the biggest thing is they don't have a desire to accomplish something big because big is hard. So all this to be said, in the modern, and this is a longer segment, guys, but stay with me because this stuff is all important. Like, you need to know these things. Our schools, the education system should be teaching this stuff to people. They don't. Our towns, our cities, our school districts should be going out of the way to educate adults about this stuff, but they really don't. So I go to this meeting of the Redevelopment Commission last night, and in front of them is an ask from the Brownsburg School Corporation for dollars for select programs with the schools. Now, keep in mind what I told you. The job of a redevelopment commission should be to create an environment by which the tax base grows so that eventually we can have tax stability and large amounts of commercial property taxes are released to all the entities so we don't have to do things like referendums. So that the schools, all these government entities can have enough revenue where they don't ever have to come back. And in every thriving municipality, that should exist. So the school corporation comes to the Redevelopment Commission and says, Redevelopment Commission, we don't want to have a referendum. We, Brownsburg, are one of the few school corporations trying to actively avoid a referendum. They don't say this out loud, but because we don't want to deal with Rob Kendall. We don't want Rob Kendall beating the crap out of us for 6 months and us probably losing in the end anyway. But it's a good thing. It's like a noble exercise, right? In which the school could just put the referendum on the ballot. They could gut the community. They could tear people apart, and they could try to raise taxes. Our school system says we don't want to do this. So about 5 months ago, the school went to the town and said, we have been hurt by Senate Bill 1. We have been hurt by a variety of other issues that the state has imposed. I could go into them, but I can't do 2 hours on this topic. And if I did, it would end up being 2 hours on the topic. So they said, in lieu of us trying to avoid a referendum, we are asking you, the Redevelopment Commission, we are asking you, the town of Brownsburg, to instruct your Redevelopment Commission to issue dollars to us because your TIF has grown exponentially over the past decade and a half. The dollars in that tax increment finance district. The goal of TIF should be able to create enough tax money that can be released to the entities that we can avoid a referendum. You guys are sitting on excess revenue in your tax increment finance district. Please release some of those dollars to us for specific projects. We will lay these projects out and how they benefit the community as a collective. They're not for football fields. We have 2 football fields in Brownsburg, but this is not for the football fields. They're not for field houses. We have 4 field houses in Brownsburg, but it's not for that. It's for education-based issues. Now, look, public education has too much money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they don't. The level of revenue that has flown into public school corporations is ridiculous. And part of Senate Bill 1 should have been cutting off the ability of school districts to be able to hold communities hostage by whenever they don't get what they want going to a referendum. That should have been part of it. It's not. The reality is, as long as school districts are allowed to seek referendums, which Senate Bill 1 still allows them to do, they can at any point hold they can hold a very strong hand when it comes to dealing with public financing and how they get money. Because at any point they can just say, oh, we didn't get what we want. Well, we'll just go for a referendum. The referendum clause has been bastardized since the day it was instituted, since tax caps were put into place in 2008 and put the Constitution in 2010. Referendums were supposed to be for emergency, unforeseen circumstances. And since we're almost 20 years now, schools have used and abused these. What Brownsburg was saying was, hey, TIF district, redevelopment commission with excess revenue in your TIF district, please release a small portion of that to us, and in exchange for that, we will agree not to seek a referendum and potentially raise people's taxes. It should have been an absolute no-brainer. Look, I'm not a fan of public education, but this seemed a very reasonable ask, especially compared to the referendum, for having to go through a referendum. Like, it seemed like a thing where everybody could win. I go to this meeting last night thinking, well, this thing's going to hopefully be rubber stamped. This should be a no-brainer. The school's agreeing not to raise taxes by tens of millions of dollars. The town has excess revenue in its tax increment finance district. And the goal of TIF should be to release property tax revenue to the entity so they don't have to seek referendums or raise people's taxes. No-brainer. The meeting went for an hour and a half last night. The Redevelopment Commission, God bless these people. I'm sure they're very well-meaning. I'm sure they really want to help their community. They seemed like they really wanted to do the right thing. But they had no idea what was actually going on. They didn't even really appear to understand tax increment finance, period, and they oversee a TIF district. I'm sitting in the back going, what the hell is happening here? How can you oversee tens of millions of dollars and not understand what you're supposed to be doing with it? But I don't blame those people. I blame the council that appointed them. I blame the town staff. The town manager sat there for an hour and a half and basically did the equivalent of this. The woman's making six figures. The woman's husband used to head up the IEDC, that's our town manager. And she at any point could have spoken up and said, here's what we need to do. Here's how we need to do this. Instead, she sat there with her hand up her backside because she don't want to do it. Because she wants the money to stay there. Because she wants the money for her in the town. And these redevelopment commission people who they should have known more. They should have been more involved. They're looking at her. They're looking at the economic development director. He doesn't know anything either. And I'm watching this, and so are people in the audience going, what the hell is happening here? How is this allowed to get to this stage in a public meeting in which the school is making a very clear ask, a very clear declaration of what they want, of what's going to happen, and then the redevelopment commission's like, well, can we do more? Well, can we do less? Yes, you can do whatever you want, but how do you not know this? And I'm watching this thinking, if this is happening in my community, this is happening everywhere. So what they decide to do, they're like, well, let's pass the thing in front of us, which isn't exactly what the school asked for, which still could result in a referendum, but let's give it to the town council. If they change it, give it back to us and we'll change it again. That's what they decided to do after an hour and a half. Will this solve the issue? We don't know. Will this keep the school from going for a referendum? We don't know. We'll let the town figure it out, the town board, and then they'll send it back to us, and whatever they say, we'll agree to. Guys, we have local government people who have no idea what they're doing because they're not being trained properly. And again, it's not an indictment of the RDC people. I mean, it is because they should want to know it and they should want to have a vision. But it's an indictment of our governments, of our town staffs. It's an indictment of our town council who didn't give them any clear directive. Yes, we want the school to have the money. Here's what we want them to have. It's an indictment of the town staff who didn't cut the deal with the school going, here's the number. They never got a number from the school on what the actual number was. What's your bottom line to avoid seeking a referendum? So they just picked a random number. Is that enough? Maybe. We don't know. Our whole system is broken. You want to know why your property taxes never go down? This is why. Because we have a bunch of people who have no idea what they're doing, and the people who do kind of know what they're doing just have their own agenda. Their own agenda and won't step in and help solve the problem. And then there's no punishment for the people who do know what they're doing, who are supposed to be in charge, who won't step in and solve the problem because it's not what they want. And you know who's going to get screwed in the end on all of this? The taxpayers. Now, the council, in this case, still has a chance to fix it next Thursday. You guys want to place any wager on whether these people will collectively have any idea what the hell's going on Thursday when it comes to them? If you want to be in public office, if you want to be appointed to a board or commission, you have an obligation to know what the hell's going on and have a definitive, like these people couldn't even decide when they were going to take public comment on the issue. You know what they said at the beginning of the meeting? And the guy seemed very nice, but he was totally in over his head. We usually don't have people come to our meetings. That's what he said. They made us sign in. Like, tell us if you're for or against. We just normally don't go through this. You don't know how to take public comment? You listen. I speak, you listen. Ignore me in the order I'm received and send me on my merry frickin' way. That's how this works. Oh, I guess we better put a timer on it. Great. It's not that hard. But you have a board that oversees, guys, when we're talking about redevelopment commissions in a place like Brownsburg, tens of millions of dollars. Almost every major infrastructure project in some capacity is done through the Redevelopment Commission and the Tax Increment Finance District. And they had to have one of the first things they did is try to explain TIF to them. Explain it. You oversee it. Look, I am not a defender of public education. I'm not a cheerleader for public education. I think there's a lot of rotten actors in public education. But I am a defender of taxpayers. I am a defender of a school district who, even though they don't have to, and look, I said last night when I was finally allowed to speak, they changed it. At first they're like, we'll have public comments at the beginning. One guy got up and spoke. Then they're like, no, we changed our mind. We'll do it after we address the issue. Then you can speak. But before the vote. People are like, what? There was a guy I sat next to who has been a member of the county government. And we just looked at each other and we both just sat there with our mouths open throughout this meeting. And it was like, I asked him, I said, what the hell's going on here? He goes, I have no idea. This is a key decision that will decide the future of the community. And there's no organization from the town staff. There's no vision from the town government. And my point to you guys is, it's happening where you're at too. You want to know why your property taxes never go down? This is why. You want to know why government never gets any better? This is why. Because you have a bunch of people who have no idea, well-meaning, who have no idea what's going on. You have leadership that won't tell them, who's too lazy to come up with their own vision and dictate it to them. And then you have staff who have their own agenda, who if they don't want to do something, they're not going to step in and help. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I just had to share that with you guys last night because I'm like, if I have to be subjected to this torture, you guys have to be subjected to it too. So we'll see what happens next Thursday. It's not, God, just pray for me. All right. Already talking with the lender. It never hurts to get a second opinion. It's so bad I had to defend the school system. By the way, I did tell the school system, if you guys go for a referendum, I will torch this one like I did the last one. Just want to make that abundantly clear because they'll see this. Alrighty, talking with a lender, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage works with home buyers and homeowners throughout central Indiana, helping them purchase homes, investment properties, refinance or consolidate debt through their mortgage when it makes sense. Gary believes the right mortgage strategy can make a big difference over time. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more. You may get hit by a referendum this fall. You might need to save on your mortgage to offset that referendum. See if Gary can help you. Loansbygary.homes, 317-695-5179. 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS, number 179207 with Verity Mortgage. NMLS, number 70345. An equal housing opportunity lender. Guys, let me ask you this, and let me know in the YouTube chat. Do you like it when I do segments like that, where I try to educate you guys on how government works? I do that segment there, one, to just get out my own frustration, to relieve my own internal pain and suffering. But I also do it because it gave me an opportunity to explain to you guys how government works in your community. But I want to do a show that you guys want to be entertained by, that you get something out of. Do you guys like that? I mean, that took me 20 minutes to get through. I can't do that quickly. There's too much. And I scratched the surface on it. There's a million other things I could have got into, but I part of what I do, because nobody else is doing this, is I try to educate you guys on how local governments actually work, because I think knowledge is power, and it's probably working the same way in your community. So do you guys like that? Or are you like, just go bitch about Diego more? Like, what do you want me to do with this show? I'll gladly do it. All right. One other thing before we get to a break, and then coming up, Nathan Gotsch from the Ballard campaign is going to be with us, talking about, one, how much money Ballard raised. It's an incredible amount of money. And two, how incompetent the Secretary of State's office is, that they essentially prevented them, well, they did it on their own, but prevented them through the appropriate government channels of being overly transparent with the public. It's an incredible story. It reminds you of just how rottenly just incompetent Diego Morales is. Nathan Gotsch will be with us next. Nikki Kelly over the Capitol Chronicle had an article. The State Budget Committee met yesterday, and they approved 2 requests from the governor. One, you're getting hit with that double tolling now on I-80. That money's going to go to the Bears Stadium. Remember, we touched on that yesterday. So you used to only get, the tolls can only be raised once a year. Now they can be raised twice on I-80. And it can now also be raised to inflation. So if inflation, it was 1.5% each time. Now it's 1.5% or inflation, whichever is greater. So you're going to pay a lot more to drive on that road. And the money now can be diverted to the Bears Stadium. So F your roads, and you're going to get $6.5 billion in tolling increases if Braun gets his way on I-70. But the Bears, they're going to get more money from the tolling. You're going to pay higher taxes so the Bears can have money for their stadium. So if they build the Bears Stadium, they never get to say everyone in the state isn't potentially paying for the Bears Stadium. We've now, you notice how the lie has changed? Well, the lie's wrong. The fib has changed. The deception has changed. There's no tax increases. Well, okay, there's going to be some tax increases, but it's all for the people in Northwest Indiana. Now, any person who drives on that road, no matter where you're from, is going to pay that tax increase. It's going to go to the Bears Stadium, and they're going to have to either, because that money's being diverted, either not pay for other road projects and not do them, or raise your taxes somewhere else to pay for them. We're all going to pay for the Bears Stadium, period. The other thing that they granted is $200 million, the State Budget Committee, $200 million for you to pay for some other person to have their kid have free daycare. So no money for roads without $6.5 billion of new tolling. No money for roads without doubling essentially the tolling going on in I-80. Now a bunch of that's going to go to the Bears Stadium. No money last year to fund the basics of government without $1 billion of tax increases, which is what the General Assembly did last year, and the governor, and then they bragged about it. But they found $200 million like that for you to pay, for you to go to work, to pay for some other person to have free daycare for their kid. That's your Indiana state government. Hey, let me ask you guys something. When you take a hot shower, does your mirror stay fogged up for 10 or 15 minutes? If it does, your bathroom fan isn't doing its job. And moisture doesn't just disappear. It gets wrapped in your walls, trapped in your walls, your ceiling, even your attic. Over time, that can mean mold, insulation damage, and expensive repairs most homeowners never see coming. That's where our guy, John from Vent Savvy, comes in. John will come to your house free of charge. He's going to check your vent. He's going to make sure it's been installed properly, make sure it's working properly. Then he's going to crawl up into your attic. He's going to look around. Do you have that mold? Do you have that water damage? And then he'll report back to you. Best thing for you is he's coming free of charge if you say, I heard about you on Rob Kendall Show. No charge for any of this to find out what's going on in your house. And then you make all the choices based on what he shows you, what he recommends. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. But what you got to do is go over to ventsavvy.com. 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 Tell them you heard about him on Rob's show for the free inspection. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, Nathan Gotsch from the Ballard campaign will be with us. We'll talk about all that money Ballard raised. How are the signatures coming? And Another great story about how brutally incompetent Diego Morales and his office is. It's coming up next. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Are shenanigans afoot in the Secretary of State's office as it relates to Greg Ballard's campaign? Our next guest says possibly, probably. It certainly appears so. It's Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Of course, Greg Ballard trying to run for Secretary of State in the state of Indiana. He has to exceed the 37,000 signature threshold in order to get the Lincoln Party on the ballot in order to qualify. And now he's running into roadblocks. Surprise, surprise. Nathan Gotsch from the Ballard campaign joins us now. Nathan, hello.
Rob, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Okay, so this is the most Diego Morales thing ever. You, the Ballard campaign, are trying to be overly transparent and tell the public how much money you have received so people know who your donors are. And they said, no dice. What's going on?
Yeah, so look, no Hoosier should ever have to know how the campaign finance reporting system works. It should just work. It's kind of like how any government enterprise should, in theory, work. Like we don't even realize that it's happening when it's working correctly. But just to give folks a little information on what happens from the campaign side. So when you in Indiana are running as a statewide candidate, you have to file your campaign finance reports, and there's a schedule for that. And you do it through the Secretary of State's office. They have a specific website that looks like it was designed in the early 2000s where you submit your form. So the first thing you do is you submit a form saying, hey, we're running or we're exploring a run. And then when they accept that filing, and it literally goes to a human in the Secretary of State's office, that person then creates an account for you so that you don't have to have them file all your forms, right? You file them through this portal that they have.
And it goes to a human?
So yeah, unlike any other website in the known universe, when you sign up for an account, right, you get an email immediately and it's auto-generated and you have a password, you change the password. That's not how it works with the Secretary of State campaign finance reporting.
Whoa. What year is this? 18th? I thought Diego spent all this money to make our elections faster and safer and more secure and efficient.
Yeah, so I talked to someone recently who deals with the Secretary of State's office and the compliance department on a regular basis, and they said that none of the money that has been earmarked for any of these technological updates is actually going towards the campaign finance portal or that online system.
Okay, so you guys had an exploratory committee, right?
Yeah, so we filed an exploratory committee initially because Mayor Ballard's not on the ballot, as people have made very clear. These Republicans and Democrats talking about he needs 37,000 signatures. A lot of people think he's not going to get them. We're very confident. We've got people all across the state of Indiana, as I speak, collecting signatures. But we filed initially as an exploratory committee. And then as this first deadline approached, we realized, oh, we actually need to file as a campaign committee to make sure that we're reporting the same thing that all the other candidates are reporting, because we wanted to be as transparent as possible.
So let's clarify this. You guys don't have to do this. You guys said we just want people to know who our donors are. We want you to know how we're spending money. And as an exploratory committee, we wouldn't do that yet. We want everybody to know, here's Greg Ballard being overly transparent.
Yeah, Mayor Ballard felt very strongly, and those of us on the campaign all agreed that when the other candidates in the race are filing their quarterly reports, we should as well, so people can see how much money we've raised, they can see who the donors are. All of that should be common across the board. But what we realized when we tried to do that is the Secretary of State's office never got us the login credentials to the portal. So we have a very long email thread, and this is all documented, where they said in early March, okay, your filing's been accepted, we'll just get you the login information, and then our treasurer weeks later emails them back. I think this was March 27th, saying, hey, we never got this, right? We need the portal login information. And the reason that's important is we had to file a form before the end of the quarter, which is March 31st, so that we could file our Q1 reports. So we finally heard back from the Secretary of State's office with the login credentials on April 2nd.
Okay.
Now, there's good news. In Indiana, when you file this form, it's called a CFA-1. There's a 10-day window from when your campaign committee either starts or you're amending it, where you can still file the form. So it's not like you have to file it on the day that you make the change. So we thought, okay, well, we're fine here. And I talked to other people who do compliance for other campaigns. They said this is very common. So we filed that as soon as we could on April 2nd, and we dated it March 31st. And then we tried to log into the portal to get access to the Q1 filing form, and it wasn't there. So we contacted the Secretary of State's office again. We had multiple people on the team contact them. Finally, early this week, we got a letter from the election division saying, nope, you guys didn't file your form soon enough. You can't report a Q1 filing.
Well, okay, so I want to point out, though, the only punishment here is the public is denied knowing how much money you got. Like, there's no punishment to you guys.
There's no issue for us. And they said, well, you don't have to file this. And we're like, no, we want to file this. And the reason they claim we can't do it is a delay that their office caused. And again, we've got an email trail of all of this. And so what we did on Thursday of this week is we just put out all of our reports publicly, and we sent it to the media so that the Hoosier voters out there know what the numbers are. And, as some of your viewers and listeners may have seen, Mayor Ballard raised almost $300,000, and that's just in the first 6 months of the campaign. And just for comparison's sake, during the full first 6 months of the campaign, almost $300,000. The first quarter, right? The first 3 months of this year, Diego Morales raised $107,000.
Three
And so,
times.
yeah, so we have tripled that in almost a third of the time.
Yeah. So I think this is important because it comes back to the incompetency of the office. It comes back to the incompetency of the system. You guys are saying we don't have to tell you how much money we raised. We want to. You probably want to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you didn't want Morales or Buy or any of the rest of these people going, well, why isn't Ballard showing his numbers? How bad is he doing? That seems kind of nefarious, the sort of nefarious thing. I'm not saying Buy would do that, but Diego would. That you guys are saying, look, we're not hiding anything.
Well, I am not going to sit here and try to guess what other candidates may or may not have done. And frankly, I think the current Secretary of State has other problems. I mean, you may have seen, and I think you maybe talked about this on the show, this letter that was sent by a former Republican Secretary of State, Connie Lawson, and then the Republican attorney inside the election division, who is calling out, I mean, literally, this is in the letter, a culture of nepotism, calling it the office of self-promotion, talking about, the global ambitions at the public's expense. These are coming from Republicans. And so that, I think, if people want to know what's going on in the office, I think they should look to the Republicans who are saying publicly why they don't think the current incumbent should be reelected. And obviously that's a view that the Greg Ballard for Secretary of State campaign shares.
Okay, $300,000, a lot of money. I was concerned because, Diego's all about access, and I was concerned if people give to you, then they might, Morales might threaten something or other. It doesn't seem to affect you guys. Seems like you guys are doing very well with your fundraising.
We are, and I think also people need to understand that it's just harder for any independent to raise money. So, when you run as a Republican or a Democrat, there are networks of donors that typically write checks to Republican candidates or Democratic candidates. Mayor Ballard doesn't have that, and so his 300,000 was raised probably twice as hard as what 300,000 from a Republican or Democratic candidate in this race. How hard that would be.
Wait. He's not some poor singing orphan here. He's the mayor of the capital city. He's got a network of people.
Well, there are people, but I was going to say that it is because of the respect that people have for Mayor Ballard and the what they saw him do, and also the dissatisfaction with the current leadership in the office. That is why this number is as high as it is. It's based on his reputation, and I think it's a well-deserved reputation as somebody who, once he was in office, put politics aside and just tried to do what he thought was best for the people. And as he's talked about, the office that oversees our elections in Indiana should not be a place for partisan politics. And he's the only candidate in the race who's made a commitment that once he's in office, he will not be endorsing candidates in those races. He won't be donating to, he won't be raising money for candidates. And you think about it, if you're the candidate on the other side of that endorsement, how would you feel going into your election, whatever it is for? Like, well, the person who's overseeing this, who's in charge with making sure this is fair, has publicly endorsed my opponent. That's not good for our democracy, and it's certainly not good for our state.
I'm not getting excited. Nathan Gotch from the Ballard campaign is with us. I'm not getting excited until you guys get the signatures. How are you doing with your signatures?
We're doing really good, and I don't have a number for you right now because every day we get more and more signatures turned in. We've got
is it more than 8
people all around the state.
There more than 8?
Do we have more than 8 signatures?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, we do.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, it's already in the thousands for sure.
I heard a rumor, tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, that any Republican who signs your petition is going to get challenged at with their future candidacy filing. Is that just bad information I'm getting, or are you guys hearing the same thing?
So we've been told by people inside the Republican Party that threats have been made that if somebody files or if they sign the petition to get Mayor Ballard on the ballot, and again, when you sign the petition, you're not saying I'm voting for this candidate. You're just saying I think that they should be on the ballot. The threats have been made that if people do that and then they want to run as Republicans in their local communities or, for regional offices, the Republican Party is going to use that against them and say, look, you're not a Republican in good standing, and they're going to try to kick those people off the ballot. And what that tells me is they are afraid, right? If they didn't see Mayor Ballard as a real threat, they wouldn't be concerned about this. But it also is in line with some of the vindictiveness that we've seen from, frankly, both parties in the past. But look, there's still good people involved in the political parties here in the state, and I know that you might be shaking your head a little bit. But the reality is the party structure and everything around that creates incentives that push good people in the wrong directions.
Yeah, because basically what I'm hearing is, so I signed the petition. I'm not committing to vote for Greg Ballard. I support him running. I support all people running who are law-abiding citizens who want to run. Basically what they're saying is Rob Kendall, then they're going to fight him running for public office, which I'm not doing. But if I did, they would say, you can't run for public office as a Republican because you signed a petition for the former Republican mayor of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the threat is. Now, we'll see if they follow through on that, because I look, if enough people do that, I don't think they're going to be able to challenge everyone. But again, it just goes back to the idea that they're trying to intimidate people from doing something that we all have a First Amendment right to do, right? If we're going to be talking about the Republicans as the party of free speech, right? That's certainly not the case if they're making this kind of a really a threat to folks. And it just doesn't feel like the values that the Republican Party claims to be about. And that's why it's so disappointing. Again, it's just about getting somebody on the ballot. It's not about voting for or supporting that person. But the parties, I think, are at a place where they understand how precarious their hold on power is. And again, that goes back to a lot of the poll numbers that we've seen, that the rise of Hoosiers who are now saying, look, I'm an independent. We see all these independents winning in local races. And so I think that there is a fear that if they don't try to keep people in line, they would lose their hold on power. But that's not the point of our government. It's not to protect one party. It is to serve the people of the state. And that's where I think those values being so misaligned right now, that's why you're seeing so many Hoosiers not only responding to Mayor Ballard's candidacy, but also saying, I'm not really a fan of the Republican or Democratic parties right now.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got this little chat. Let me try to recap this. You Ballard people were like, hey, we don't have to file this form. We really want to, though, just to be overly transparent. We want the public to know who's supporting our candidate. We want to be transparent. The Republican Secretary of State essentially said, go fly a kite.
So it's the election division who makes that decision. And actually, that's something that a lot of people don't realize. There's a Republican representative and a Democratic representative, and they together get to decide.
So the Democrats are in on this too.
Well, what's interesting is the Republican, his name is Brad King. He just recently stepped down. He effective the end of after the primary. So Brad King said, I think you should be able to file this. I don't see any issue with this. The Democrat representative said, no, you didn't do it in time. Again, even though the delay was caused by that office. And because of the rules, there has to be unanimous. It's got to be a unanimous decision in our favor. So because the Democrats said, no, we don't have access to that Q1 filing. And so instead, we just put out our fundraising since he launched his campaign out to the public, to the media, so everyone can see how much we've raised and who those donors are.
Yeah, but I mean, the filing with the election division, that's under Morales, right?
He is technically overseeing that, but I don't believe that he has the ability. I mean, really, those are appointed by the parties. So the party chair gets to decide who that is. There's no oversight. Like, the voters have no ability.
Yeah. But I'm saying the paperwork that screwed you guys up in the beginning was because of his office.
I would say that there are people inside there, probably well-meaning folks, who just, because of the way that the system is. And again, in what universe would you have a system where you require a human being to send you a username and password for a website, especially when it's this important? And you think about all the hundreds of candidates who have to be filing through it. Like, it just shouldn't be this way. We need to bring that office into the 21st century.
Yeah, let's get his photo off every webpage. That's a great place to start. If I don't have to see Greg Ballard, he might get my vote. If I can just go to the website without having to see his mug, tell him I might be on board.
The mayor and I have not discussed this, but I feel pretty confident that he would also be willing to make a pledge that if elected, he would not put his face on any Secretary of State website.
If Nathan, if people would like to learn more about Ballard's campaign, if they'd like to sign the pledge and risk potentially never having to subject themselves to be a Republican running for public office, how can they go about doing that?
So you can learn more about the campaign or donate by going to gregballard.com. If you want to sign the petition, the state makes it pretty difficult, but we have put it on the website. Go to gregballard.com/signatures. You've got to download a PDF, print it out, and then mail it back to the campaign. There's instructions on how to do that there.
All right. Well, as the man famously said in the movie, we're all counting on you. So we like people running for public office. Nathan Gotsch from the Ballard campaign. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hi, I'm John Piper. I'm running for Congress in Indiana. I'm the only candidate in the United States of America exposing the crisis we have in mother's breast milk. Purdue University is a major player in that. Purdue is selling our veterinarians to out-of-state corporations for big money. Bobby Kennedy needs to know about it effective immediately. We are 55,000 veterinarians short across the United States. My two major opponents, Craig Haggard and Jim Barrett, are both protecting the Iranian terror cell in Plainfield, Indiana. I'm John Piper. I approve this message. Paid for Friends for Piper for Congress.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434. And mention Rob for a free attic inspection.
I'm Doug Cobb for Clay County Commissioner. I'm running to bring transparency back to our local government. As a concerned citizen, I want to know what's going on. We need new and fresh ideas for today's challenges. We need a vision for future generations. As a small business owner, I want to explore and promote opportunities to make us all successful. Let's create a brighter future for Clay County together. I'm Doug Cobb, running for Clay County Commissioner, and I approve this message. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Just a moment, we will hear from the man who, the voice of a generation, producer Jason, with the greatest YouTube comments of the day. A couple of reminders, though, if you haven't yet, please hit that little thumbs up button. Helps us. Liking the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And last but certainly not least, share the feed. Let people know we are here. You are here with us. And that really helps us grow. YouTube, let the YouTube feed there on Facebook, whether you got a Twitter account, whatever it is, let people know about us. And by the way, I know many of you, hundreds and hundreds of you every single day, if not thousands now at this point, listen to us on the Apple, on the Spotify. Thank you to you guys as well who are hearing our voice but not seeing us. Share that feed. If you're listening on Apple, if you're listening on Spotify, let people know about the Rob Kendall Show so we can keep growing great local content. And last but certainly not least, if you thought, man, this is incredible programming, 10 hours of programming each week, I can't believe I'm getting it for free. I'd like to throw $3 in the kitty to contribute. You can do that. RobKendallShow.com. RobKendallShow.com. We've got a big old support button right there. You can support the Rob Kendall Show. Hey, one of the biggest complaints people have with real estate is never actually talking to their agent. That's why we love Lauren Wilson. She handles her clients directly. Lauren Wilson has spent her life right here, Central Indiana. Hoosier lifer, military vet. She'd love the opportunity to get to know you, whether you're upgrading for a growing family, downsizing for retirement, or just thinking about, hey, I want to explore my options, want to know what I can do. I know somebody called Lauren the other day, said, I'm not committed to moving yet. I'm not committed to selling yet. Let me know what's out there. And that's what they're doing. She's sending them stuff. They're in communication. Lauren wants to get to know you and your story. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290. And with that, it is time to hear what producer Jason thinks are the best YouTube comments of the day.
Hello. Let me check my levels. Look like we're all right.
Tell us about Black Sheep Plumbing.
This chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to the plumber break the bank. Call John, Black Sheep Plumbing, 765 Plumbing, 765 Black Sheep Plumbing, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558. Black Sheep Plumbing.
Bingo.
All right. Let's get started. Rob asked if we need him to educate us on a regular daily basis, and apparently the viewers agree. Drain the swamp. Yes, please educate us. Debbie Holcomb, absolutely. Deep thoughts. Yes, please educate us. MLM Warriors. Yes. Josh Richardson, absolutely, Rob. It's great for the public to learn more about government. Bowden JM, yup, deep in the weeds, but necessary. Mad Duck, yes, we need to be informed. Old Guy, Kansas, yes, educate us on the process. No one else will. Kevin Branham, Rob, you're the bomb on explaining local government. Couple more. M. Belfour. I don't know why I say that. M. Ballard. Absolutely. Like everybody knows or whatever. Absolutely. Enjoy your explaining how government works. Wish you had the ability to teach our high school kids on it. Yeah. And there we go. So that's apparently they do enjoy your instruction.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, I did a rather lengthy segment about the Redevelopment Commission meeting that I went to last night, and just how nobody had any idea what the hell was going on. And it's just a dumpster fire. And I had to explain how a bunch of these boards and commissions work. And, at the old place, they used to be like, you're spending too much time on that. People aren't going to sit through that. You're wasting too much time. You got to go faster. So I just thought, well,
You only get 7 minutes.
It's like, am I wasting my time, or do you guys actually get value out of that? And so it looks like people do get value out of it. So that's good.
And M. Bellor also asked producer Jason, please post links in the description for all the ways to follow Rob's media, or at least the show website. It's all on the show website.
It is.
And right at the top of the YouTube page, right underneath, I believe where it says the Rob Kendall Show, there's another little, it says the robkendallshow.com. But just go to robkendallshow.com. There is no just robkendallshow.com. You'll see all kinds of good stuff there, and 100 articles. We hit 100 transcripts yesterday. You know how long it takes to put 100 transcripts on a website?
Yeah, we should turn that into a little mini book or something for people.
That's my goal. We're going to do something with all those.
Cool.
That's just a plethora of information up there since 100 of those since the 1st of March.
My projects this weekend, well, my car went dunzo. God was looking out for me yesterday. There was much more than just the battery.
If you own a car dealership and would like to be a sponsor on the Rob Kendall Show, Rob needs a vehicle.
Yeah, if you own a car dealership, let us know, or know someone who does. I'm going to probably need a new car. God was like, you're not getting on the road with that car yesterday. There was way more than just that. I mean, that car's run its course. But my goal this weekend is I'm going to get the live event finalized so we can announce that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come up with a plan for people who support the show with those buttons and maybe some other cool stuff. So I'm going to have like a little giveaway plan thing maybe for people. So those are my two projects I'm putting on myself this weekend.
Just happened to see this one in the chat. Ethan Hatcher. Ethan knows how to get on the on the chat.
Yeah.
Life must be difficult for producer Jason, being the most handsome and talented producer in all of Indianapolis podcasting. It's
garbage.
Not radio, podcasting. Yeah. A huge burden carrying the whole Rob Kendall show on his shoulders each day.
Now, Ethan's having some sort of meet and greet on Sunday.
He is. It's you guys need to show Ethan some love. He's got, listen to him Saturday night. He's got his meet and greet at the Steak and Shake from 11 a.m. until 1 Sunday morning. So I was thinking about going down, but I don't know, man. So now that I work actually
the one downtown,
5 days
right?
a week.
That's the one downtown?
Is it still there downtown?
Well, I think that's the one he's talking about.
Okay.
I have been at that Steak and Shake many times at 3:30 in the morning, but never at 11 in the afternoon.
Well, it'd be morning, 11 in the morning.
Well, 11 to 1. 1's the afternoon, right?
Okay, but 11 is morning.
Well, that's afternoon to me. Wake up. It's the middle of the freaking day.
Steve Green with an E starts us off in the chat this morning. Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day to expose the hypocrisy of our elected officials.
That's right.
Andy Engel, somebody go wake up Braun and tell him to tune in. It's time for the Rob Kendall Show. MLM Warrior, nice buttons, Rob.
Thank you.
You almost pierced your nipple there earlier, didn't you? Yeah,
close.
that would have been funny as hell. Could have put your little dangling chain on there.
Our guy, John Rust, he made these buttons for us. He has a button maker.
Yeah, I like the Dirty Diego one.
I do.
That's pretty
look, I'm going to come up with something creative with these because I think people will love these buttons. They're going to eat them up the way if we give them away the right way.
All right. Steve Green with an E. Rob rocking the nipple buttons. It's nipple day on the Rob Kendall Show. That's the most vulgar term we can use on the Rob Kendall Show.
That's right.
We can get away with nipple. Kevin Branham, Jason, I went by Rob's billboard twice this morning.
Oh,
I'll take a picture of it when there's less traffic. So I went by it last night and I saw it.
So we have a bill. Our buddy Rust let us have for 5 seconds at a time his billboard there on 65 down near Greenwood, and it's a rotating billboard. He owns a digital billboard, and we rotate with other things, but our announcement is up there for our show right there in Greenwood.
And yes, it is. And I think somebody said there was one on 69 up by Noblesville.
Oh.
So you need to get with your buddy there, Russ.
How exciting.
Find out where those are located.
How exciting.
There we go. So as we continue on, MLM Warriors, thumbs up helps.
That's right. If you guys have not done so, hit the thumbs up before the end of the show today.
If you hit thumbs down, you dislike yourself and blame Rob for your problems. Some good stuff in the chat today. Wild on a Friday. Charles Ludy. Said it right.
You got it right.
Oh, well, we got to back up one more. Ethan, again, in the chat. Has anybody noticed how immaculately pressed Rob's shirts are today?
That's right.
Charles Ludy. His mom irons them, Ethan. That's the key.
That's right.
Good morning, by the way. MLM Warriors. I have noticed Rob's shirts look nice. Kevin Branham. Ethan. He has a great mom. Pam Kendall.
Oh, my mom
enters the chat. I love you guys.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Your mom's awesome. Charles Ludy. Seriously, she does. It's awesome. Who irons anymore?
Kudos to my mom figuring out how to do the YouTube chat.
I bet if I sent a bag of my shirts over, I bet your mom
probably would do it.
No, yeah, I wouldn't do that to her, but I know she would. She's probably going to ask you now. You tell him to send those shirts
Probably
over.
will. Thank you.
All right.
You've got your own mom.
I do, but she makes me do my own stuff. I don't iron mine. They come out of the dryer looking this immaculate.
Yeah.
That's all right. Do you own a dryer?
I do own a dryer. I do all the laundry in my house.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now we're talking about the porn lady, not the porn lady, the sex toys lady.
David Shelton's wife. David Shelton is running against Diego. This has been well known for years. She runs a law-abiding, or she did. I don't think she does it anymore. But for years, she ran a law-abiding business that sold sex toys. They were like Tupperware parties that women would have, except they were sex toys. Newsflash. Lots of people use sex toys. In the state of Indiana, I guarantee you there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are fine.
You seem to be very pro sex toys,
look,
Rob.
I'm for people consenting adults doing whatever in their bedroom they want to do. As long as everyone's of legal age and everyone consents, and you're not on some moral high horse telling other people how to live their life, presenting yourself as some sort of expert or above board. I'm for people doing whatever they want to do. If you want to use a sex toy, have at it. It don't bother me. And I don't care about law-abiding businesses. If you'd have told me she's running a drug ring or a prostitution ring or she's a madam of a whorehouse, then okay, whatever. That's not legal in Indiana. But she's not. She owns a law-abiding business or own a law-abiding business. And I just think it's hilarious that the Morales people are dealing with such a piece of garbage in Diego that the best they can do is, well, Shelton's wife used to own a sex toy company.
If you're a real man, you take care of your wife and no need for a sex toy. Bowden
What if the wife doesn't, or the woman doesn't, is not a wife?
Bowden JM says, what's her website?
I don't think she owns the business anymore.
John McKinney, atta girl.
our Black Sheep Plumbing guy. That's excellent.
Jack the Libertarian. If he gets elected, the lieutenant governor's office will probably become her best customer. I got to skip through some of these. Okay, hold on. Let's. Ethan Hatcher. Ethan's all over today. Ethan, do you work? Do you have a job? Christy Nome's husband is a good example of how spouses of politicians can make them vulnerable, right or wrong. It's a reality.
Yeah, and so we were talking about,
Ethan.
I said, like, should you be held accountable if your spouse is not breaking the law? Should you be held accountable for your spouse?
Well, what if she was a stripper? Totally legal, totally nothing wrong with it. I would probably have known her.
Yeah, you definitely
doesn't make her a bad person, but that would not probably look very, very good for a politician to. You can go see my wife at the Wiggly Jiggly tonight.
Well, okay, but the point is she's not running around being naked. She's like invited into she's invited places.
But are there demonstrations?
I don't know how it works. I've never been to.
Let's continue on.
But no, wait. I want to work through this with our audience because it's a law-abiding. Look, I don't care if she's a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
You know better than anyone. You got to go in the strip club to see the stripper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I really care. Like, look, Diego Morales is a corrupt, rotten, incompetent piece of trash. So if you're going to tell me my choice is a corrupt, unethical, incompetent piece of trash or some guy whose wife sells sex toys, I'm taking the guy who's good at being a county clerk whose wife sells sex toys every single time because the sex toy thing don't hurt me none. Diego Morales hurts me and other people every day using his office as a 24/7 campaign machine wasting my money.
It could hurt. You just got to be gentle. Kevin Branham. She should be
careful.
She should set up a booth at the convention. Spit that out. J-Man. I work at a print shop that could do Rob is right buttons and stickers.
I like that.
J-Man 3302. Okay, let's see. Andy Engel, I wish I could vote for Alexandra Wilson if for no other reason than to just stick it to the establishment.
Okay, let me say this about the Alexandra Wilson interview.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, I've said publicly I'm the same way. Like if I lived there, I'd probably vote for her at a protest.
Mm-hmm.
But like you watch her, and she's a very nice woman. She was very candid. She's very honest. Go back and watch the interview.
Very pregnant.
She's very pregnant. But you look at that and you go, and this is not a knock on her. That's what Trump and Braun and the Turning Point people were so worried about, that they had to try to destroy her life. Like what they acted like. I mean, you just watch that and go, that's it. Like it's just utterly ridiculous to me the way all those people behaved, and Jim Mbop too.
I wish I could read all these. You got to go to the chat, people. You got to stuff I cannot read.
It's about Shelton's wife.
It's about Diego and resemblance of.
Oh, no.
Okay, see, I'm just saying, you got to go read this stuff. It's pretty entertaining. Vic Ferrari. Hello, this is my wife, Bubbles.
Do you ever have a Bubbles? You ever have to introduce a Bubbles?
No, not a Bubbles. A lot of, let's see, Butterfly, Mercedes, Lexus, Lexi, Alexis, Alizé.
So for those of you who are like, what the hell is he talking? You're fine if I say this, right?
I don't care. Whatever.
Jason was for many years a high-ranking executive in the strip club.
High-ranking executive, yes, I was.
He was the announcer.
Yeah. Well, the announcer. They don't call him announcer.
What did they call
the DJ and moved up to manager, DJ.
I went, this is a true story.
It wasn't the Jiggly Wiggly, though.
And I think we've said this before. I spent Christmas Eve with you one time at the.
That was the first night I quit, too. I quit.
That's right.
A few times. I would quit, and then they'd call me back.
That's right.
I'd quit, and they'd call me back.
This was an ongoing saga for years with Jason, where he would get angry at the environment he was working in. And then they would beg him to come back, and he would go back, and I'm like, man, you're going to hate it the same way you hated it the last time.
You got the greatest job in the world. It's like you put up with 15 drunk, drug addict girls a night, 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't even stand up, can't keep their clothes on. Yeah, it's a blast. Regular Jeff, I call Rob the mailman because he controls the information.
Yes, thank you.
And there were some other mailman comments here that apparently did not make it onto my tablet.
Yeah.
But you're bringing it, Rob. Everybody's enjoying it. By the way, last thing, real quick here. Do we have time? Yeah, we've got time. Take it over. All right. What is the oldest? We should do this earlier.
Are you looking at a Snickers bar?
I'm looking at a Snickers bar. I typically eat a Snickers bar.
Is there a trivia question on there?
No, there's no. What?
Oh, I thought you were reading from the Snickers bar.
I'm about to read.
Oh, I thought it was on the Snickers bar. I was like, are they posting trivia questions on the Snickers
bar? No, what I'm trying to say is... I eat a Snickers every day, as you know.
Yeah.
And when I was the producer for Tony Katz, I would eat a Snickers every day. And he heard me chomping on one day. And he's like, what are you eating? I was like, well, it's a Snickers bar. He's like, yeah. I eat one every day, Tony. So the next day, he sends me a box, like 96 Snickers bars. And I was in heaven for 96 days.
No kidding.
And then right before I quit, he sent me another box. 96 Snickers bars are not cheap.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I have not spoke to Tony since. After I quit. I think he's pissed because
you quit right after he sent you.
But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is I still have the Snickers bars, a lot of them, from back then.
Yeah.
What's the oldest out-of-date food item you've ever eaten?
Hammer and I did this one time when we cleaned out the chicks on the right. Mm-hmm. One day we just went in there and was like, it'd been 2 years.
How expired were they?
Well, it wasn't a Snickers.
Sorry.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Sorry.
This has been a couple years after they left, and so there was all that stuff they'd left. There were like granola bars or something. I can't remember what it was. It was 5 years expired.
But you didn't eat it.
What?
Hammer ate it?
I had part of it, and Hammer ate like most of it.
Before or after you knew it was expired?
We knew.
Oh, okay.
We did it on the air.
Right. Oh, okay. It was a joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was 5 years? Then you beat me because this is March 2023. That was 3 years ago. Expired March 2023. And I've been eating these every day. Because you can't see the expiration date. They've got it like, it's a brown wrapper and the ink is like brown.
But wait. He sent them to you. You were not working at IBC back then.
It was a lot. I was there for maybe about 3 years.
No. Were you?
What is this? We're in 26. Yeah. Anyway, yes, it was.
I think he sent you expired Snickers bars.
He may have.
I think he did.
Maybe I should be mad at him.
Or they were about to expire.
Well, that was nice of him to buy them for me.
That was very nice.
Maybe he got them on the...
I love that you quit, right?
He got them on the sale.
Cats used to bring...
Did it make you sick when you ate the yogurt?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It was fine. Like I said, Hammer had most of it. I was just trying to help out. Cats used to because he'd only show up like twice a year. I don't know if he still does at the new place, but he used to only show up like twice a year. And he would bring breakfast because he knew everyone hated him because he didn't come into work. So he would bring breakfast for everybody so they would just forget while he was there how much they disliked him. Hey, Masonry. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, let me pop mine in and then you can do yours, Rob. Black Sheep Plumbing. I have a problem with that name today. Black Sheep Plumbing, the sponsor of the chat. And with that, I will exit and let Rob complete his show. Thank you very much. So long. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. Masonry color mismatch. Previous repair catching your eye. Not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, want to build something new? Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com. Beauty built to endure. Bramwell Mackay. All right. We've made it through another week together, guys. 7 weeks we've been doing this show now. and every week we grow, and you guys have been so phenomenal helping us out. We can't thank you enough for all you've done for us, and we're just going to ask you to keep it going. We got to keep the show growing, keep the local news and politics and government. People can't get anywhere else. They're going to hear about us from you. I think I told this story the other day. We literally have a new business starting with us Monday. Double D's Barbecue in Clayton. They're awesome. Right there at 40 and 39. Go check them out. It's Elvis themed. And these people are from Memphis. They're outstanding. If you're looking for somewhere to go eat, check them out. They literally said, Tina, the owner, said, I didn't even know who you were, and someone shared your feed, and I started watching, and you're outstanding. It works, guys. It does help us grow the show. When we ask you to do these things, it helps us immensely, and that's how you can participate. We also got a great, another company starting with us, Seal Now. They do concrete, they do decks, they do patios. These guys are amazing. SealNow.com if you want to check them out. SealNow.com, SealNow.com if you want to check them out. They're going to be starting with us on Monday. That was a word of mouth there. He's buddies with our boy John at Vent Savvy. So the point is, when you guys respond, when you call the advertisers, they tell other people, when you share the feed, people see us, it really does help. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all you guys are doing. Let's keep it up. Let's grow the show over the weekend. You guys have a very safe and happy weekend, and we will look forward to seeing you right back here Monday, 10 until noon. For producer Jason, you're listening to Rob Kendall Show.